What am I supposed to do? Do I take the attendance this way? Do I do this? The second point is I try to create a safe space. It's okay for them to ask me silly questions. And I also let the student know that they can question my thoughts. I do this kind of personalized teaching where I know all the students' names. So students gifted me with something and I'm like, oh God. So I don't just stand there and just do the talking. I study a lot. That's how I manage, because it's not easy to just finish my master's, just have a year and 6 months experience, and you just come to a UK university and you're teaching undergraduate students, you're teaching postgraduate students. It's not easy. This one was really a problem for me. I struggled with this one, you guys. Like, yay, welcome to another video on my YouTube channel, you guys. My name is Jemima Chukwu if you're just seeing me for the first time, and today I have something that a lot of people have been asking me since I posted the video how to get teaching jobs in a UK university. If you've not watched the video, go watch the video up there. And I also shared the cultural shocks that I had when I came into a UK university to start teaching anatomy. So if you've not also seen that video, what are you waiting for? Go and watch the video, so that if you plan to come to the UK to be a teacher, lecturer, professor, whatever name you whatever job title you're applying for that relates to teaching in the university, you can actually have an idea of what to expect when you come here as an international applicant. Okay, and today's video is kind of not too far from it, because a lot of you have been asking me, Jemima, how do you even manage to teach in a UK university? And the amazing part of it is not just UK university. You know, in UK that a lot of international applicants apply to a UK university. You could have the Chinese, you can have the Indians, you could have Africans. You've got a lot of mix and blend of people. You are teaching a lot of students from different culture and different places. And specifically, when I saw her in one of the conferences, she attended at the University of Birmingham, where we had this meet for the first time after 3 years. If you've not also watched her video, go up there. I'm going to link the video there for you. And yeah, so she was telling me, Jemima, why don't you share this on your channel on how you manage to teach in a UK university as an international applicant? And so I'm making this video so lots of you can get how I struggle, because it's not easy, how I struggle to get on this role as a staff at the University of Birmingham. Okay, without so much talk, I wonder how long this intro is. Without so much talk, I'll get straight into the video. So I've got out 10 points. The first point is I set ground expectations. Be careful, I've not said I set rules. I just set ground expectations. So when I come to my first teaching, I let the students know that this is what I expect from you. Make sure you read your worksheets or you read your materials before you come to the section, because it's going to help you interact more with the teaching. So the student knows that this is what Jemima is going to be expecting. She expects us to have done this, do that. And it doesn't stop there. I also ask the student for their expectations too. I'm like, what do you expect from me? How do you want me to actually deliver my sections? Do you want group activity? Do you want it yourself? Do you want a mix of this? So I kind of like ask them, do you want me to ask you questions? Is it okay if I call you by your name? Stuff like that. So kind of like both mutually set this ground expectation. When I was talking with my line manager, she was like, in our previous university, what she usually does is she let the students sign this form to be like, you remember you agreed to this, and me, I agreed to this, so we'll try to make sure we keep it to the end of the section of the semester. Yeah, so that is one thing I do, and it's been helpful for me to survive. The student already knows, and that's how I try to organize my sections, because the student knows that, oh, this is Jemima. If it's Jemima, you expect to see her hovering behind you, or trying to make sure that you are getting on with your activity or your tasks. So yeah, that's it. That's one point. The second point is I try to create a safe space, which is very important if you want to teach in a UK university that has loads of international applicants, and especially for yourself that is an international teacher. So what I did is I try to create a safe space. What I mean is I let the students know that it's okay for them to ask me silly questions. Nobody's perfect. It's okay for them to ask me questions. If I know the answer, I'm going to tell them. If I don't know the answer, I'm going to do my research, and I'm going to come back to them tomorrow or send them an email for them to get to the answers, or direct them to how they can read up to understand the answers, if that makes sense. So I create a kind of safe space for them. I also let them know that it is okay to make mistakes. They are fine to make mistakes. I'm happy to be here to correct them and guide them through. And I also let the student know that they can question my thoughts. So if I say something and they feel is not okay, they don't see it as right, they can question me and we'll try to tackle it together and see what perspective they are coming from and how they can get there, and how we can resolve. And yeah, so that's what I do. I create this safe space for them to be okay to say anything they want to say regarding the teaching, and even if they have some struggles or personal issues, they need some support, they can talk to me. So that is how I try to manage with the teaching. And when I do that, I see that the students are willing, and it gives me this passion. I remember, was it a month of my teaching, or after 2 months, students gifted me with something, and I'm like, oh God, so I'm really helping people get on with their studies. I really felt appreciated, and it was like, woo. So I try to create the safe space. It's really important to me, and it's important to my students. Another thing I do is how I manage with teaching is I try to personalize my teaching. Some students might not like it, so disclaimer, I'm not giving you my tips that it might help your cohort of students. Students differ. So the key thing is for you to understand the students that you've been assigned to teach, because some of them might be okay with this particular stuff, and some others might not be okay with the method you are trying to teach, or the approach you're trying to teach them. So be willing to change your teaching to the need of the students, if that makes sense. So what I do is I do this kind of personalized teaching where I know all the students' names. So if I have like 20 students in one group, I try to know all their names, and I can easily ask them questions. I can easily ask them, are you finding it difficult? I can just call their name. So it's not like you or she or he. I was just like, oh, Tobe, do you understand what they're saying there? Are you sure you need any help? Do you need something, Jessica? Do you want me to come and sit near you for motivation, Jemima? So stuff like that, I kind of like call their name, make it personalized, and they feel that it's just their friend that is chatting with them and gisting with them. Sometimes I even go in between them to sit and have some chats, even about the studies and what they did previously. Did they see a movie? Did they do this? So I just kind of have this chat. So it's also kind of like an additional stuff to create a safe space. So yeah, that's what I do, and it's been helpful so far. So yeah. So the fourth point is this one was really a problem for me. I struggled with this one, you guys. Like, I struggled with language. Like, the language barrier was something that was kind of difficult for me. So what I was doing is, how I managed the situation was, I kind of like spell out some words on the board. So I kind of write out some words that I feel the student do not understand how I've pronounced it. And anatomy, we've got a lot of words and pronunciation, so I just spell out some. And sometimes I use this tactics of letting the students read something. I'm like, okay, Jessica, can you help us read this paragraph? So it's easy. I take away some of the language stuff for me and I put it on them. It might not be fair, but like, this is how I try to adapt, and we try to communicate that way. And another thing that helps me is I try to explain over and over and over again. So some of the students do not like when I do that, because they feel I'm slow for their fast brain or something. But I do it because I feel that they do not understand, that they might not be clear of how I'm speaking or what I'm saying, or I might be too fast or something like that. So what I just try to do is I try to like repeat my explanation like twice for those that. So if you don't understand, you can actually ask me, say, oh, Jemima, I didn't get what you said. What were you saying then? When I pronounce something wrongly, I ask them, oh, sorry, so what's the correct pronunciation? So they tell me the correct pronunciation, and I say it over and over with them. Like, I say it again, like, oh, perfect, Jemima. And they're kind of like smiling, and it makes them feel like, oh, Jemima is not only wanting to teach us, she also wants to learn, if that makes sense. So that's how I try to manage my teaching. Another point is I try to encourage active participation. So I don't just stand there and just do the talking. No, I let the students participate. I let students do group activities. I let them talk among their peers, because sometimes it's useful to learn from your peers, you understand? So somebody might have some other information that you do not have, and might be difficult for you to get out from the textbooks or the internet or clinical key. So what I do is I let the students learn from themselves, and I'm just in one corner, moving from one area to another, trying to chip in or participate in their discussion. So it's helpful to do active participation. Yeah, so that's what I do. Another thing is I do not overwhelm the students with too much of the content, because the truth is, these students, they have a lot to learn. Like, they are learning so much. They're not learning only anatomy, they are not learning only physiology, they are not learning only pharmacology, they're learning a lot. So I do not try to let them that you need to know this, you must know this. No, I don't overwhelm them with too much of the content. What I do is I try to remind them that I was once a student in their shoes. So if they don't get it now, they should give themselves some time, that they might get it later. They need to sleep, they need to cool their brain, they need to read this, they need to watch videos, they need to do this, if that makes sense. So yeah, so I try to calm their nerves, because some of them might be going through loads of stuff, especially international students. If you know any international students, you guys, pray for that student, because a lot of things, home pressure, tuition fee, a lot of things are going over their head. I just try to calm them down and not overwhelm them with all the activities, even though there are a lot to do. There are a lot of anatomy to do, you guys. I just try my best to make sure that the students are up and tight with what they're doing, and they need to stay focused, even though it's not easy to stay focused, if that makes sense. Okay, so what number are we? The 7th point is I study a lot. That's how I manage, because it's not easy to just finish my master's, just have a year and 6 months experience, and you just come to a UK university and you're teaching undergraduate students, you're teaching postgraduate students. It's not easy. It's not easy. So how I manage is I study a lot. So I read before I go for the section. I read outside what they have in the worksheet, because students can ask you questions outside that. So I read, I study, I read a lot. You guys, I read a lot. It's still like I'm a student, so I read a lot. So that's one thing that's been really helping me. And then the 8th thing is I try to gather feedback regularly. So I do not just say, okay, I've taught, let me just cross my legs, I've done everything, let's let the students do everything. No, I actually ask for feedback. I send questionnaires like, how was my teaching? How do you think I can improve? What do you think I should have done better? Stuff like that. So I gather feedbacks, and then I evaluate this feedback, and then I adapt some of this feedback to my teaching for the next section or for the next cohort of students. So it's good to gather feedback. It's really helpful, and it also motivates you to even know if you're even doing well with your job, if that makes sense. Yeah. So the 9th thing I did is I attended courses. So there might be some courses that your university have to support or help international staff. So there was a course teaching international students. I'm always active. When I see something teaching international students, I want to be there. I want to do this. I want to know more, because you are teaching a lot of students from different culture and different places, different ideas, different perspectives, different ways of how they see things. I just want to do it right. So I try to take lessons, attend tutorials, take courses that's going to help me on how I'm delivering my teaching. It was from one of the courses that I knew that when you finish a teaching, it's not safe to say, do you guys have any question? Do you have any question? I learned that it's better to say, do you have any question for me? So like, do you have any question for me is more like, the student is like, oh, this person wants to really answer my question. But if you say, do you have any questions, just like, I beg, I finished talking, just ask me a question, let me go, please don't ask me any question. So there are so many things I learned from all those courses, and it's been helpful. It's been helping me to adapt my teaching style and everything. So if you want to teach in a UK university, when you get there, it will help you to adapt and manage your situation properly. And this is the last tip. What I do is that I usually ask my colleagues questions. So I always ask questions. If I feel I do not get it here, I ask questions like, what am I supposed to do? Do I take the attendance this way? Do I do this? Even when I know, I still want to be sure, I ask questions, if that makes sense. So don't stop asking questions, because in Nigeria, we used to say, who asks questions, no, they lost. So I always ask questions. And it's been helpful to me. Like, I ask questions. I even ask the students questions. Are you okay for me to do this? Is it okay if we do this at this time? What do you think about this? Always ask questions. And yeah, I think that's all, you guys. If there's something else I remember, I'll put in the comment section or the description box below. So yeah, that's it. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, and make sure you like this video and share this video to your friends, to your lecturers that want to come to the UK to teach and be a lecturer. Yeah, share this video to them. I'm sure they will like it. I'm sure it will be helpful to them. I mean it. It's going to be helpful to them. Share it. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. See you guys in my next video. And yeah, Bye.